change of pace since I was a pioneer. Take me to that magic place where friends I hold so dear. Change of pace since I was a pioneer. Let you know that you can find it here. At the bags and here, let's get our camp romantic here.
Hello.
Hello.
Stories we were told. There's no place I'd rather be than
Triple C's the only camp for me. Bum, 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 bum.
places get to make a choice, and a little bird told me.
Hello, Greer family. Hello, Christopher. Those of you typing in.
Hello.
Hi, Max.
Hello, Rhodes family. Yes, sir. And the custard.
All these people can see it. All these other kids. Oh, right, that's fun.
There's no place I'd rather be than TRIPLEC, 'cause Triple C's the only camp for me.
Alrighty. Good afternoon, Triple C Camp. Today, it's March 19th, 2020. The only March 19th, 2020 in human history. And we're going to make it a
Good one.
Amazing one.
Myers. If you don't know who I am, I'm at Triple C Camp in Charlottesville, Virginia. So excited to have you all here today. We're going to be talking about reptiles today and their amazing adaptations. So I have a couple of my camp colleagues here who live and work with me here at Triple C. That's right, it's our reptiles. So we're excited to have you all here today. And I'm excited to be here right now with all of you as well. If you don't have it already, go ahead and grab a piece of paper and something to write or draw with if you want to, because we're going to be doing a little interaction here as well when we show amazing adaptations. We're going to jump right into it with a friend of mine. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we start, if you are new to Zoom, you have some buttons you want to be aware of. You have this button, the microphone. I'm going to ask you to please mute your microphone so that everyone who's watching out in internet land can hear me, because what will happen is it'll jump around on our mics. So while we're showing off the animals, please make sure you are on mute. Now, if you want to just see me, you're going to want to set your Zoom to speaker. If they're watching this with me, you go to gallery view and check it out that way. Either way is fine. All right, we're going to get started. First up, this friend of mine, he has been at Triple C Camp for a long, long time. His name is Hercules. It's Hercules, the red-footed tortoise. All right. Hercules in the wild would live in South America in forests or grasslands or savanna. So Hercules is a tortoise, so different from a turtle, right? Tortoises under the water like many turtles do. Hercules here is going to live off mostly eating leaves and maybe some fruits. And from time to time, these tortoises will also eat little bugs. They'll eat insects to get some protein. But mostly Hercules here is a leaf eater, is an herbivore. And here at camp, that's what I feed Hercules. A lot of salad. And sometimes if he's lucky, he gets some strawberry tops, some shredded carrots, things of that nature. And what I want to point out to you on Hercules is some really amazing adaptations that these tortoises have. And mostly, I think we all know it's this shell here. And the shell offers protection, right? They can scrunch their bodies into the shell, some more so than others. what's interesting is the shell is made out of different plates, and those plates are called scutes, and they're related to scales, like on most reptiles, like on Hercules' leg here, you can see the scales. But the shell's a little different. It's what we call scutes. And some people think that tortoises and turtles don't have a backbone, so that's a spine. So if you take your hand and feel on your back at the bottom of your head, feel all the way down the center of your back, you can feel that spinal cord. Hercules here has a spinal cord just like you and me, only it's on the inside of our shell here. So if in the wild Hercules was feeling threatened or worried about a predator, he would scrunch up inside his shell. Hercules here could live to be over 50 years old. So these tortoises have a nice long life, and Hercules is still going strong here at Triple C Camp. So this is Hercules, the red-footed tortoise, originally from South America. All right, so now as we show off each animal, I want to get a little bit more into what it means to have adaptations. So adaptations are things you're born with. They're either part of your body, like these right here. Everyone show me your thumbs. Let me see those opposable thumbs, right? So you were born with these and they let you use tools and do cool stuff and make art projects and play sports and use jazz hands. We all need some jazz hands from now and then. That's an adaptation. Hercules having a shell, that's an adaptation. It's part of your physical body. But we also have behaviors, things we do, like Hercules sleeps at night and is active during the day. That's called being diurnal. If it were the opposite and Hercules was awake at nighttime, he'd be, I think we all know it. What is it? You can just say it out. Nocturnal. Right? Yeah. So those are behavioral adaptations. So if you have a piece of paper and something to write with, as a team, we're going to create our own critter as we go along today. And we're going to start just by starting with an outline. We're going to make a body. So whatever body shape you want for your reptile, go ahead and make it on your paper. Leave yourself a little space. I'm going to leave some top space here because in case I want to come up with a fun name for my reptile. And what we're going to do with that at the end. But right here in the middle, go ahead and make any body shape you want for your reptile. So maybe your animal is shaped kind of like an egg shape. And maybe it has 4 legs. Mine's kind of got some spider action going here. I don't know. That's the shape. And go ahead and give it a head. All right. And think about how big is your reptile? Is it the size of a toaster oven? Is it the size of a car? A teeny little fly? And if you want to, you can draw scale so we know how big something is. So maybe my animal is, you know, the size of a pencil. So I know how big my reptile is. If we think about Hercules, who we just saw, about the size of that reptile, because how big you are matters about how you survive in the wild and what sort of adaptations you have. Next thing I'm going to have you do is, how is your reptile? Hercules, is it going to have something else? Go ahead and whatever you want to do, come up with a way for your reptile to stay safe out there in the wild. Give it some protection. I think mine's going to have some spikes coming out of it. There's some pretty menacing spikes on mine. Go ahead and show me what you've got so far. Hold up your papers. I want to see where we're at with our reptiles. Yeah, I see the Pryor family there. Good to see you. Awesome. Oh, these are great reptiles. You know, speaking of spikes,
The
I want to
dogs are
introduce you.
poisonous.
Ooh, I heard poisonous. Nice. Another friend of mine. this family is named Spike. And the reason this animal is called a bearded dragon is right under here. Do you see all these kind of spiky looking things? That's the animal's beard. And it has spikes that run all along. Actually not spiky at all. They're really soft and rubbery. So this animal, the bearded dragon, its protection is to look scary and say, hey, don't eat me because I'm really spiky. But the truth of the matter is that these are pretty soft. A bearded dragon, semi-arid environment, a forest, a grassland, a savanna, and they live up in the trees. They climb trees. You can see here, Spike is wanting to climb. They use these amazing, hey friend.
My teacher has a pet like that.
Look at these claws here as they're clawing my fingers. Yeah, so you use those claws to climb trees, and they're gonna eat mostly insects. They'll eat plants from time to time, but for the most part, Spike here is looking for little invertebrates to eat, so little insects. And here at camp, another interesting thing, Spike's tail, it's about the same length as the rest of Spike's body. You might be able to think what that might be for if you're an animal that climbs trees while you're looking for food. How is a really big tail going to be a helpful physical adaptation?
It can hang upside down.
So like some monkeys that have a prehensile tail can curl around trees. Spike's tail can't do that, but what it can do is help balance the weight of the animal's body.
Oh yeah, somebody just texted it.
He's climbing up, right? Some other interesting facts about Spike is diurnal, which means he's up at the day and sleeps at night, just like the rest of us. And Spike, as I already mentioned, is a really good climber. These holes right here, right? So the ears, they don't have ears like we do, but that's Spike's ear there. And the beard on a bearded dragons can change color if they're trying to attract a mate. And sometimes their body color is dependent on
This looks like leg.
into their environment. This is Spike here. Cool. You can see our Spike is kind of yellow and gray. All right, so now we talked about these adaptations like claws on our feet to climb trees, and maybe these spikes that aren't actually spiky, and the color that an animal is for camouflage. So I want you to add to your reptile now, and I want you to give it two things. How is your animal gonna get around? What's it gonna do? Is it gonna have claws for climbing trees? Is it gonna have wings, a flying reptile? Is it gonna way for your animal to move around? I'm gonna add as well.
I have a dog.
Dog, yeah. I'm gonna give mine a tail and maybe some really big wide feet, because my reptile's gonna dig in the ground, so he's gonna have big feet like shovels with claws. Oh, you guys are doing a great job. And if you haven't already, go ahead and give your reptile a face. What's its eyes gonna be like? Is it gonna have ears? What sort of a mouth will it have?
Facial hair.
Let's go. Let's go.
Facial hair.
Let's go.
Is it gonna have a beard? Yeah, like Spike.
Hey, hey. Mustache. Yeah, that was on mute.
So the sky's the limit. Anything you draw, think about, well, how would this help your animal in the wild?
I have a weapon attached to its
On
body.
to our next reptile friend, the star of the show. Those of you that come to Triple C Camp, this is the one that everyone wants to see.
I know.
Snake.
I know.
Snake.
Snake.
Oh,
Snake.
Is our ball python Aragon.
I remember that. That clawed on me.
Ah.
Went on me.
So ball pythons
slither.
are from West Africa, and they are what's called
Weird.
constrictors. So these animals are going to catch their prey in their mouths, and then they're going to wrap their bodies around it and squeeze it. And then one of the fun things about snakes, this really interesting adaptation, is that most of them swallow their prey whole. They unhinge their bottom jaw and eat wide as you can. And feel right where your bottom jaw connects to the top half. You can imagine if you could unlock that and open your mouth up even wider. It'd be like swallowing a cantaloupe or a tiny watermelon all in one go. The other thing I want to tell you about Aragon here is these snakes can live up to 15 years. So a nice lifespan for our snakes. And I want you to see those little pockets at the top part of its mouth. We'll get nice and close again. They look like little holes. See them there? Kind of on the upper lip. Almost looks like a mustache. This is the first time Aragon's been on the internet, I think, live and in person. So those are heat sensing pits. This animal has this amazing adaptation where it can sense body heat or infrared. And that is because Aragon hunts at night. Aragon is nocturnal. So these animals are moving around at nighttime in their native. So mice and rats, they'll also eat small mammals and tiny birds. And they're finding them not so much with their eyes, but with these heat sensing pits. And also, and perhaps more importantly, with their tongue. Let's see if we can get Aragon to. And what's cool is they're not tasting their prey before they catch it. Aragon is smelling with its tongue. So many snakes have an adaptation that's called a Jacobson's organ. It lives inside their head, and their tongue draws in air particles, and that's how they smell out their prey. And it doesn't take a lot for these snakes to sense a rodent nearby and try to get a meal. The other thing I want you to notice about Aragon is how long and strong this animal is. All right, put him on a scarf mode for a little bit here. So this animal's body is just packed full of muscle. I can feel it right now, starting to curl around, trying to keep warm next to me. And you can imagine if you're a tiny little mouse, there's no getting away from our friend here. And also notice the coloration on Aragon. So the scales are camouflaged to blend into their environment so they can stay safe from predators because other animals might try to eat the ball pythons. Something else to show you is the scales on the bottom of a snake are different. These are also scutes. Just like we refer to the turtle shell is made of scutes. These scales, or I should say scutes, are what help the snake move along on the ground. They kind of run across their body versus these scales on top. It's sort of linked together almost like fish scales, right? So this is Aragon, our ball python. Before we continue with our animal drawings, Aragon and I want to give a little peek. A show of hands, how many of you sometimes feel nervous or afraid when you think about snakes or if you see a snake, right? That's totally normal. It's okay to feel nervous around a wild animal. And we should keep a healthy distance when we see snakes in the wild, but it's also important to know that snakes are so critical to the health of our environment. They keep down the snakes are really crucial. We want to obviously keep a respectful distance when we see them and observe them with our eyes and notice how cool they are. But remember that they're not mean. They're not Disney villains. Snakes are just another animal looking for food and trying to.
I have a question.
About snakes. One of the easiest ways is just get outside, go to parks, go exploring, and so that you and your family show that having wild spaces are important to you. Because if we protect wild spaces, we protect habitats for animals like snakes. All right, so this was Aragon, the okay. It's time to add some final adaptations to our reptiles. Thinking about Aragon's really amazing heat sensing infrared pits, I want you to add an adaptation, whatever you want, make it something crazy. They see in a different way, maybe they hear in a different way, maybe they also have gills. It's something that you can add to your reptile that's a fun adaptation. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm gonna give my reptile a little pompadour like a rooster. And this is to show the other spiky digging reptiles that it's the coolest reptile on the block.
Mine has big ears and a big tail.
Pods like a skunk that come out of its spikes
Mine eats pickles.
to keep predators away.
I like that.
All right, I want to see your reptiles. Hold them up to the camera. Let's see what we've got here. Oh yeah, we got some spiky shells, some long tails, some big ears, some big teeth. Oh, I've seen some color. Fantastic. Now, if you haven't already, what are we gonna name our reptiles?
Long
Cool
tail.
name to give your animal.
Spiky.
I'm saying spiked turtle. I don't know how much creativity I've got right now. I'm going with the spiked turtle. I got a lot going on. It's only the size of a pencil. Spikers.
Oh, that's crying shame.
Nice. Cool.
His name is
A lot of good stuff going on.
Weirdo.
All
He
right.
looks weird. So his name is Weirdo.
Okay. Last thing. We need to place our reptile in an environment because all these adaptations are useless unless they're living in a protected, healthy habitat. So think about your adaptations. Where does your animal live? If you want on that side of the paper that we kept open, you could list where you want your animal to live, or you could draw it. Does it live in a tree? Draw a tree. Does it live near a pond? Draw a pond. Does it live underground? Make a tunnel. You want to use words to write a list? You want to use pictures? Either way is fantastic. So I think I'm going to say that mine lives near water and likes to be in the mud. It's digging in the mud for its food. Yeah, and we're going to say
Stop.
I'm gonna put mine right here in North America.
In the desert.
Nice.
Middle of nowhere. Middle of nowhere.
You're trying to get a book.
Okay. Well, I hope you all had a good time meeting our animals here at Triple C Camp. We're not done quite yet. You can take your reptile the rest of the day if you want to add adaptations, if you want to add color, maybe you want to draw a whole new adaptations, the parts that an animal's born with to help it survive. And then the next step is look out your window. If you got a backyard, go out there and look for some animals and ask yourself, well, what adaptations do those have? Here with a little mindfulness. So we're going to do a little mindfulness right now, because sometimes out in the world, we might feel feelings that make us feel scared or nervous. And one thing we can do to help with those feelings is just to take a moment and be a little mindful. And parents, this works great for us too. So if you want to join us in some mindfulness, we'd love to do that. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is take a big breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. If you're standing or sitting, or where you're sitting, take another breath. All right, now I want you to notice 5 things you can see right now. What are 5 things you can see? And you can just say it in your head or point. Now, what are 4 things that you can touch, that you can feel? Your shirt, something near you. What are 4 things you can feel? Awesome. What are 3 things you can hear right now? Okay. What are 2 things you can smell? Hopefully someone's got cookies. You're feeling right now. Are you feeling calm? Are you feeling sleepy? Are you feeling hungry? Notice how you're feeling right now. Okay. You can do this any time of the day. If you're feeling a little anxious or nervous, just stop and do a little 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What can I feel? And how am I actually feeling? What are my feelings? And that's a great way to make ourselves present and help us feel a little calmer. Thank you for joining us today at Triple C Camp. We've got another one tomorrow. Casey is going to be joining us. We're going to be doing some relaxing yoga. We'll see you tomorrow, same time. Look for the posts in our Facebook, in our Instagram, and we'll see you all then. Thanks a lot.
See ya.
Later.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.
Where are they going?
Bye.
Bye.